This video delves into the arrest of Mahmoud Khalil, a Palestinian activist and former Columbia University graduate student, and explores the broader implications of such actions on free speech, civil liberties, and the fabric of American democracy. The arrest of Mahmoud Khalil. Mahmoud Khalil, a permanent resident of the United States originally from Syria, was known for his active involvement in organizing pro-Palestinian protests at Columbia University. On March 8, 2025, federal immigration authorities arrested Khalil at his residence, citing his alleged leadership in activities aligned with Hamas, a group designated as a terrorist organization by the U.S. government. Despite holding a green card, Khalil's detention was justified by the authorities under federal immigration laws that permit revocation of residency for activities related to terrorism. However, the specific charges against him were not detailed at the time of his arrest, leading to widespread concern and speculation. Government's stance on campus protests. President Donald Trump publicly lauded Khalil's arrest, framing it as part of a broader initiative to suppress anti-Israel sentiments on college campuses. He described universities as breeding grounds for pro-terrorist, anti-Semitic, and anti-American agitators, and emphasized his administration's commitment to arresting and deporting such individuals. This stance aligns with previous statements by Trump, who has compared recent pro-Palestinian campus protests to the 2017 white supremacist rally in Charlottesville, Virginia, labeling the former as more severe. Legal and ethical concerns. The arrest of Mahmoud Khalil has ignited a firestorm of debate among civil rights organizations, legal experts, and the general public. The American Civil Liberties Union, or ACLU, condemned the arrest as an attempt to intimidate and suppress free speech, warning that such actions set a dangerous precedent for governmental overreach. Critics argue that targeting individuals based on their participation in protests, especially when such protests are protected under the First Amendment, undermines the foundational principles of free expression and assembly. The lack of transparency regarding the specific charges against Khalil further exacerbates concerns about due process and the potential for abuse of power. The federal government's aggressive approach has placed universities in a precarious position. Institutions like Columbia University face the challenge of balancing the protection of free speech with compliance to federal directives. The threat of losing federal funding has pressured universities to adopt stricter measures against protests, leading to suspensions and increased security presence on campuses. This environment has had a chilling effect on student activism. Fear of surveillance, arrest, or deportation has deterred many from participating in demonstrations, thereby stifling healthy academic discourse and the exchange of diverse viewpoints. The current crackdown on pro-Palestinian activists echoes past instances in American history, where the government targeted specific groups under the guise of national security. For example, during the Red Scare periods, individuals suspected of communist affiliations faced similar persecution, leading to widespread violations of civil liberties. Drawing parallels to these historical events, it's evident that such measures often lead to long-term societal harm, including the erosion of public trust in governmental institutions and the marginalization of minority communities. In the wake of Khalil's arrest, numerous protests have erupted across the country, with demonstrators advocating for his release and the protection of free speech. Civil rights advocates argue that the government's actions are a direct assault on democratic values and have called for greater accountability and oversight. These protests have garnered support from various sectors, including academics, students, and political figures, all united in their demand for justice and the preservation of constitutional rights. The U.S. government's actions have not gone unnoticed on the global stage. International human rights organizations have expressed concern over the apparent suppression of dissent and the potential implications for activists worldwide. Such actions risk damaging the United States' reputation as a beacon of democracy and could embolden authoritarian regimes to implement similar measures against their own citizens. The arrest of Mahmoud Khalil is likely to trigger a series of legal challenges that could redefine the boundaries of free speech and governmental authority in the United States. Legal experts anticipate that the courts will need to address critical questions regarding the balance between national security and individual rights, the definition of material support to terrorist organizations, and the extent of executive power in immigration matters. The case of Mahmoud Khalil serves as a pivotal moment in the ongoing debate over free speech, civil liberties, and national security in the United States. As the nation grapples with these complex issues, it's imperative to uphold the principles enshrined in the Constitution while ensuring the safety and security of all citizens. The outcome of this case will undoubtedly have far-reaching implications for the future of activism, governance, and democracy in America. For more insights into the evolving landscape of civil liberties, don't miss our next video on the impact of recent legislation on freedom of assembly.